What does the resurrection mean to me? My name's David Woodall with the United Church of Canada. It's Easter morning. What does the resurrection mean to me? First off, I believe it's absolutely true. I don't believe that the faith we share now or the messages that we share now were inspired by the memories of a man who died on the cross. I don't believe that the teachings of Jesus, some of which were quite inspired, by the way, such things as if your enemy strikes you on one cheek, then turn the other to them, or if someone asks you to carry their burden for 1 mile, carry it for 2. Some of them were quite inspired. Others of them sounded like the ravings of a lunatic. Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood. Or, you'll always have the poor with you, but you won't always have me. I don't believe these teachings would have stood the test of time unless there was more to them than a man who spoke them and then simply died. This risen Christ wasn't the feeling of love warming our hearts, or the good feeling that we have when we work together on a project, or the collective memories of a group of old men, which is what the disciples were when they finally got around to writing their Gospels. I believe that Christ truly came back from the dead. Christ is not just a nice idea. I believe that the death and resurrection of Christ changed the whole world. Not all at once, not everywhere, but there was a fundamental shift in direction that happened because of the resurrection. I believe that with the resurrection of Christ, all religions became redundant. In a spiritual sense, all divisions are wiped away. Any religion, including Christianity, which says that we have a monopoly on the truth, is false. Many of them have glimmers of truth in them. And the purpose of the resurrection was not a semantic exercise. Christ is not particularly concerned with rigid adherence to a certain religious wording formula or set of ritualistic actions. Very simply, Christ came that we might have life in all its richness and abundance, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. I believe that through Christ we can have a personal encounter and relationship with the God of all of life, the one who created us. It is my experience that Christ will come and live in your hearts. You can invite him in, and I suspect he's already there. You see, there are 3 great gifts that God gives each person in this world. The gift of life, with all its craziness, tears, and laughter. This is the first wonder, the extraordinary event given to each one of us. We live, we breathe, we are alive because God has given us life. And the second wonder of life is that God gives us the gift of faith. We are spiritual people. Our lives are full of spiritual values. We trust others. We have hope. We care for children. We live with integrity and courage even in the midst of tragic and horrible circumstances. We have this sense that there's more to life than mere biological satisfaction of our needs. Music and art and theater, they all appeal to our souls. And of course, God goes much further, even than this, with each one of us. And I think this is the third wonder. It's the third gift. God gives us possibilities, resources, and strengths with which to live a rich and full life. And I think God even goes further. God gives us the capacity to grow forward. Not only are we given the gift of life and the gift of faith and the possibilities with which to develop our lives, we are given the ability, the capacity to grow and develop our lives. This is not our own doing. This is the gift of God, and this is the third wonder of life. God is a stirring, living presence in our lives this very minute, whether you can name God or not. These are the gifts given to each one of us, so that none of us can boast about how hard we had to work to get them, or I am so much better than you because I have these gifts and you don't. What the resurrection means to me is that life is sacred. It wasn't that God created the world and then walked away. Or God might have been tempted. Rather, the resurrection is like a holy seal of approval upon this world and this life and everyone in it. It's the radical seal of love by a God who has created 1 billion galaxies. Some people today see the billions of galaxies and think it's ludicrous, the idea that somehow God would take a special interest in one group of humans tucked away on a small planet in a small solar system on the outer fringes of a small galaxy tucked away on the edges of the universe. How wrong they are. The size of the universe teaches us about the immensity of the love of God, and the universe is still expanding. The resurrection teaches me that we're not alone, that God is with us, and therefore we will not be afraid. The resurrection means to me that I will treat all life as being sacred. I will enjoy the colors of the rainbow, walk the sandy shores of the Atlantic Ocean, treasure and care for the animals and the trees and the water and the air. It means I will treat all life as being sacred. It means that I will live and nurture a sense of justice in life. It means that when there's a choice between good and evil, I'll always choose the good side. It means that I'll laugh at some of the funny things we do. It means I will help people when they're in trouble. It means I will be a friend that you can rely on and count on. The resurrection means to me that life is worth living. There's a meaning and a purpose to why we're here. God bless us all. Amen.